Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/INTB and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download a title free and start listening. It's easy. Go to audibletrial.com/INTB.
Honestly, they're not that bad.
Welcome to a new episode of It's Not That Bad podcast. I am Fern here with Dom.
Hello.
So we're in the first week of 2020. And, everyone really had I'd say, from the view of the internet, right? 2019 was a bad year for a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we have this new start, new year. I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, it's not like the doomsday clock has inched that much closer to midnight, is it? We're basically at 11:59 and 59 seconds.
Maybe because, as you guys know, it's pretty devastating news, but the JJ cut of the new Star Wars movie is not being released. And
ridiculous.
Yeah, and that, probably one of the worst things we heard, right? Because we thought this was a movie that he wanted to give us.
Yeah.
But in reality, there's a better movie out there. The movie that no one knows about, no one's seen, but the fans are craving for, saying that's the real movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's upsetting that we're never going to get that movie.
Bombing Iran has nothing on this.
What?
Australia almost completely gone as a continent.
Us who?
Nothing on this because Disney also has shot that down in flames because they're like, oh no, we're not going to do that. Because Disney had already said what we release is canon. They won't even go back and give us the original Star Wars, right? Without minus all the special edition stuff. They're not gonna do it. They're never gonna do it. You'll see the deleted scenes later, but you're never gonna see that give us the JJ cut. Oh my god. It's the whole stupid where's the Snyder cut? Zack Snyder's cut of this movie was so much better, and it's but that's not the movie we got. You guys thought if we bring in Joss Whedon, he did the Avengers, so that must have been why the Avengers was so good, right? Because Joss Whedon did it, right? And then he comes in and he gives you his Justice League, and it's this sucks.
Oh wait, can we go back?
What? How come Batman was awesome in Dawn of Justice, but he's not in this movie?
It's just one of those things where it's just can't get over it. I mean, we've talked about Star Wars already, but it's just one of those things where it's how do you guys live?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I don't know.
I'm over here new episode of Resistance recorded. I'm gonna watch it. But then there's other people that are let me tell you what, Rey's never gonna get her own spin-off story / whatever Disney's doing. She's not really that important. It's why are you making these videos?
It's just clickbaity videos because all it is what they never explained in Rise of Skywalker, and it's you watch it and you're well, no, that was explained, or I get that they're not explaining it, but they're not explaining it for a reason, or with Rose or something. It's yeah, I get that she was an important character in the second movie, but the reason why she has a minimized role is if a character doesn't have a bigger role, it's for a reason. I'm not saying they're unimportant. It's just in this context of this story, they're not as important as they were before. You can see that. Her character was more important in Last Jedi, right? Her character isn't as important in this one. I get I'd like to see more. We talked about how much flack she got from being in The Last Jedi, but that's not what they did, unfortunately. I'm not gonna sit here and disagree with them, right? Maybe she should have got more screen time, maybe you could have cut this or added that, whatever, right? But the fact of the matter is that's not what we got. you can sit here and bitch and complain and play the, well, if we got that game. Like, I saw an article, and it was like, The Last Jedi should have just made Snoke Darth Plagueis. It would have made Rise of Skywalker better. And I was like,
Well, see,
how?
yeah. Well, see, no. Here's the thing. When people say that thing, it's like, obviously, yeah, it would, because you would take this thing that was it was a legend, right? Comes out of left field, so amazing. Of course it would, but we didn't get that. Does that does it mean the movie's worse? No. That's what I was trying to say with, like, sure, maybe there's some things I wish they would have done different. Maybe some things I wish I would have seen more or seen less of. But even with that, the movie is still great. I still loved it. I still want to take my nephews to see it. Like, just because something is better doesn't make the other thing worse. That's like saying, oh, you know what would make the movie better? Is if Han Solo was actually this super, like he was super strong with the Force, but see, he denied it this whole time, and that's why, like, Ben was so good with it. But when he died, he was actually a Force ghost, but, like, the most powerful. Like, you could have said all this shit, and it's like, okay, yeah, that would be kind of cool, but we didn't get that, so it doesn't matter. What they're literally doing is they're making fan fiction about, this is why it's not good. Insert fan fiction, and that's why this movie sucked. And it's like, that's not the fucking movie. Like, you're literally just making shit up at this point.
Yeah, and then a lot of the times they're like, The Rise of Skywalker just invalidates The Last Jedi. And I'm like, no, it didn't, because if you watch The Last Jedi and then you watch this film, the whole point of The Last Jedi was that they needed to fail. Right? They were constantly failing, and they needed to see that maybe they have to, like, look at the things that they're doing and change it, right? And that's what they did in The Rise of Skywalker. I don't understand, like
literally the last couple of minutes, they built this whole scene on no one's coming, no one's here, no one, like, because they've been alone this whole time. No one cares. We're all gonna die. This is it, and then
everyone shows up.
And then this guy's like, hey, you guys, I just got back from fucking this robot, and I brought all my friends.
Wait, did you say a robot?
Pew, 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 pew.
But, yeah, it's like we already said, I think, everything we could last time, or, like, the other time when we reviewed it last year. But, I don't know. I think it's dying out, like, this whole, like, stupid idea where it's like, but, like, this is what I wanted to see happen. Like, I think it's dying a little bit. It's just,
the reason why it's so bothersome is because we've heard all this before.
Yeah.
Like 3-4 years ago with the DC universe. We've heard fandom talk like this already, right? Where they want to talk your ear off about this non-existent shit. And it's just like, but that's not what it is. That's not how it is. Like, you can just enjoy this, right? But instead you're bitching because this character in this one story didn't show up because that would have made the movie 10 times better, or this was too exciting and fun and fast paced, and that's not Star Wars. I hated it.
Yeah.
I just really want all this to die away, right? Because there's not going to be Mandalorian for a while. Yeah. There's not going to be a Star Wars movie for a while. Resistance is going to be wrapping up right now. There's pretty much going to be no Star Wars for, like, probably a year, most likely, at least.
Yeah.
And then hopefully when we come back, people are going to be like, yeah, you know, I don't really love the Disney stuff, but, like when you look at it, it's a pretty, like, intriguing saga.
Oh my God.
It's just, it's tiring.
Yeah.
Just knowing that these people exist and that I'm a part of a fandom that has, like, some of the worst fans ever.
Yeah.
And it sucks, but at the same point, it's like, I'm enjoying this no matter what. I don't care. I don't need your 30-year-old movie to tell me what's good and what's bad. I don't need to be a real Star
40.
Wars 40. I don't need to be a real Star Wars fan by quoting every single line in the original and only in the original is the prequels that they're not that great, but they're better than this new one. Like, I don't need any of that dumb shit. Like I said, I'll watch a fucking cartoon because it says Star Wars. Either way, it's like, it's just dumb, and I don't want to deal with it, but shit keeps popping up. And like I said, hopefully after this year or so with no Star Wars, people will shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
This is the fucking news.
So Terry Gilliam, which you know who Terry Gilliam is, right? He's from Monty Python, the funniest comedy group ever. He's still tired of Me Too and the white men being blamed for everything. He's the guy who he basically was like, what? The people who made Black Panther didn't even go to Africa to like understand their culture. They know nothing about Africa. And it's like, yeah, they did. They went there with the costume designers, with the production designers. They studied like different cultures of the area that they were planning to put Wakanda. But he says that, oh, no, they didn't because he's white and he's right. Sorry, he's right. No, wait, he's white. Whatever. You know what I mean. And he has to mansplain it to everybody. I guess he was like promoting The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, which is a film that he made like years ago that's barely being released because it just took him a long time to produce it. He just wasn't getting a lot of the like money he needed. And then this is what he said in an interview. He was bored of talking about the film because you're talking about the film. I don't know why you're bored about talking about it. And that he pivoted to calling the Me Too a witch hunt, self-identifying as a melanin light male, because he made a comment earlier about identifying as a black lesbian. And then he's tired of white males being blamed for everything that's wrong with the world. Even though it's like... It is. It's literally the reason we're in like such terrible... Oh, God. And then it just calls back to like his earlier statements back in 2018 when he said that this is when he was saying that he was no longer a white man, that he's a black lesbian. He's blamed for everything wrong, that white men are blamed for everything wrong. He says, I don't like the term black or white. I'm now referring to myself as a melanin light male. I can't stand the simplistic, tribalistic behavior that we're going through at the moment. I'm talking about being a man accused of all the wrong in the world because I'm white-skinned. So I better not be a man. I better not be white. Okay, once I don't find men sexually attracted, I've got to be a lesbian. What else can I be? I like girls. These are just logical steps. I'm just trying to make you start thinking. He also said, because it trickled over into the Me Too movement, he said that there are many victims in Harvey Weinstein's life, and I feel sympathy for them. But then Hollywood is full of various ambitious people who are adults, and they make choices. We all make choices, and I could tell you who did make the choice and who didn't. So basically, he's saying, yeah, there's victims, but they also chose to have sex with them. It's not like they were pressured into it.
It sounds like he pressured people into having sex with him.
It kind of does.
And then he was like, but I didn't force them to. I just told him that if they didn't have sex with me, they wouldn't get this job. It's completely different.
He said, the point is you make choices. I can tell you about a very well-known actress coming up to me and saying, what do I have to do to get in your film, Terry? I don't understand why people behave as if this hasn't been going on as long as there's been powerful people. I understand that men have had more power longer, but I'm tired, as a white male, of being blamed for everything that is wrong in the world.
He's like, oh yeah, I'm tired of this happening. You mean how it just happened? Get out.
We get blamed for everything.
You know how long these 3 years have been? I've been gaslighting people since you were born. And now, I can't. It's just like, what am I supposed to? Oh my God.
I just like how it's like people don't understand. They're so blind to like privilege that they can't even see. Like,
wait, are you saying this old white comedian from England doesn't understand modern society?
Yes. Yeah, it sounds so
Whoa.
familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It's like a tale as old as white people.
it's just when people try to bring up the whole like witch hunt thing. Yeah, we've talked about that before. Like part of that is true. The cancel culture thing is true, but
Yeah.
it comes from the fact that this shit happens.
Yeah.
And it's been happening. And
And-
it's been happening underneath the table the whole time. But because everyone felt like they couldn't talk about it because, I don't know, you talk about it and all of a sudden, wait, remember that one actress we used to have a long time ago? Whatever happened to her? And it's like, oh, because she's trying to speak out against this thing, that happened to her years ago, and then now no one wants to hire her.
Yeah, literally, Rose McGowan, her whole career was derailed because of that. Because she chose to speak up. And for years, people were like, "Oh, she's just crazy. She's literally crazy. She's like she says all this, but no, like people this and that." And then it turns out, oh, Harvey Weinstein was paying people to say she's crazy, and basically, yeah, like gaslighted her, and the whole time, like he used his money and power to do this.
And the funniest part is like, he's the biggest name in this whole thing, but he's not. It's not like he's the only person ever.
And you know what? And it's funny too because it's like they also try and so just recently as part of this whole thing, I'll bring up Ricky Gervais. He hosted the Golden Globes, and his whole monologue was about how, oh, shame on you, Hollywood, for being elites, and yet you guys act so liberally, and you talk about all this stuff. And like you should just come up here, accept your award, and thank your God, and that blah blah blah, this and that, whatever, right? But it's like he's also being hypocritical. He just doesn't want people to call him out on like his things, because he literally just did that. Because did you hear about J.K. Rowling where she liked and like hashtagged about this one?
Yeah, it was like a
this lady
anti.
Well, basically, the lady was like a scientist, and her stance is that there's only two genders. That's it. And the reason why she was fired is because the court or the council, whoever fired her, they said that her stance was so harmful to anyone that was like that there because of her view that it was harmful to everyone. And so J.K. Rowling's like, well, no, because we need to support women and this and that. But it's like, shouldn't you be supporting all women? Not just because, it's because you actually hate trans women. And then Ricky Gervais is like trying to support her and be like, you guys are so hypocritical because you guys don't support women, but now you want her to like hate women and this and that. And it's like, she's hating people because they don't fit her idea of like women, right? And now you want us to be like okay with that? No.
Wait, so you're saying this older white comedian from England doesn't understand modern society?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that shit's dumb.
It's literally like it all has a through line, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like it seems like older white people just
Well, the funniest thing about that is that people are like all praising him and all this stuff, and it's like he's an elite.
yeah.
He's
just
richer,
as elite as
he's
them.
richer than a lot of people there.
Mm-hmm.
He's part. The only difference is that
He's more conservative than them.
Yeah, and oh no, Dom. It's just that he speaks the truth.
No, he doesn't. Like I loved Ricky Gervais. I thought he was hilarious. But more and more, I hear from like it's harder and harder. It's like the thing with Scarlett Johansson. It's like I love Scarlett Johansson, right? But it's harder and harder to defend her when she opens her mouth and she says things like
Anything.
yeah, literally, like Woody Allen is a great person. It's like no, stop it, don't. Why do you want me to hate you?
Yeah. I don't know. That shit's so stupid because it's like, dude, it's 2020. Literally, we've grown in a society where people are like, hey, you guys, me and a group of people have been feeling depressed our whole time because we couldn't be who we are.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that sucks. Like, what's wrong? And they're like, I just, I want to identify as myself. And it's like, yeah, go ahead. And then all these old people are like, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
When I grew up, my grandpa used to beat me, and he raped my sister, and we're real Americans. And you're like, you just unloaded a lot on me, dude.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It sounds like
I
you
support
have it.
them because if they want to be non-binary, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
That's who they are. That's who they are.
Exactly.
Just like you want to be a white American.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
Because you want to be racist, like, no, I voted for Obama, okay? It's like, that doesn't mean you're not racist.
Zinging the audience is one thing,
Yeah.
but then when you're up here preaching about people coming up here preaching, it's like you're in the same boat, dude.
But it's funny too because it's like some of these people, like I can understand some of them, right? Like, but like some people were using his argument as a way to like tear down like Patricia Arquette because she won. I forgot what she won for, but Patricia Arquette has been actively like bringing up and putting into the forefront like the inequality of pay and with women and like how women are treated in Hollywood. Like she's been fighting for like, remember when she won for Boyhood? Like she brought that, like when was Boyhood? What, like 3-4 years ago now? Like, and even before that, people knew her as like fighting for that. It's like, it's not like she's just walking up here one day and is like, hey, you should treat women equally now. It's like, oh, don't preach to us. It's like, no, she's literally actively been out there like fighting for like years for this. But we finally got to the point where it's like, wait a minute, they're not paid equal? Yes, that's what I've been saying this whole time.
Yeah, the whole thing with his speech was like, there were so many people trying to be like, oh, yeah, I'm like that too, and it's like, no, dude, you're not. No. He's literally doing exactly what he's preaching about.
Yeah.
But to a different audience.
Yeah.
He's making all the libertarians sit up and cheer and be like, yeah, you take them down.
Yeah, you take those libs down.
Yeah.
Like I said, a lot of these people have been fighting for these causes for, like, Russell Crowe, he won an award. He didn't show up at all. He gave his speech to someone else because he's like, just read it for me. Because he's living in a country that is literally on fire because, climate change. And it's like, he has to bring that up. Like, where else do you have a platform that you can, like, bring these things? Like,
it's funny, too, because they're at an award show, right, for film and entertainment, TV shows, whatever. And the thing is, with a lot of this, entertainment, you can make whole TV shows about certain political subjects. What was it, like they won for Chernobyl, and the one guy was like talking about how like that was like it's kind of like a political statement with that TV show.
Yeah.
And all this stuff, and it's like, so you're saying that they made this TV show, and this was like a artful way to show you, like, hey, look at this, guys, this is kind of bad. And then they win for that award, but then they can't go up there and speak about it?
No, they need to leave that off the stage.
It'd be like if when they see us won, which they'll never win, but if they won, and then they got up, like Ava DuVernay, whatever, got up and she was like, yeah, this is so important that, look at how long it's been and that we still see this like happening to our black youth today. And then Ricky Gervais gets up and says, you shouldn't be talking about that. You don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
It's like, literally the whole TV show is about that. It's about how these guys were just young and of color, and then they did it. No other. And hey, I get it. That happened years ago. It's not like that still happens to. Oh, wait.
And then he still doesn't get it because he just recently tweeted how the fuck can teasing huge corporations and the richest, most privileged people in the world be considered right wing. Like, I don't think we're trying to defend a lot of the, like, Hollywood, like, elite, but, like, at the same time, it's like, I think the problem in saying that, like, he owned them is the same thing as, like, Ben Shapiro owned, like, all these libs. It's like, he just said a joke, and his stupid, like, monologue thing was, like, not even funny, and it's like, he's doing, like, the same thing that they're doing. Like, he's using his platform.
If, like, honestly, if he really was about that, then he'd be like, oh, why am I gonna do this? Why am I gonna host? I don't give a shit no more. Like, that
I don't want to deal with these people.
Yeah, that would make way more sense to be like, yeah, you're right. Like, you literally had too much. Where you're like, I don't want to be in the same room with those people.
Yeah.
I would totally be fine with that. I'd be like, yeah, of course. Why the fuck would you want to come out here?
Yeah, if instead of him hosting, he said no, and he tweeted that out, then I'd be like, oh shit, because it'd be like, yeah, see, he also declined to, like, host their pat on the back.
Oh, what? He got, like, a check from it, and oh wow, you're saying, like, so he's speaking out against these people, but he's still taking a check from them.
Yeah.
Weird. It's almost like doesn't have real values.
Strange. Disney Plus fans are freaking out that content is already being removed because I guess what was it? Home Alone 1 and 2 are not on there anymore.
Why is it?
But I guess they actually had, like, deals that extended past and were around before Disney Plus. So they made these deals with different, like, distributors, right? To have, like, the broadcasting right or the streaming rights to, like, Home Alone or Home Alone 2. And so what they did was they got them back for Disney Plus to show you, like, oh, look at what we're going to have on here. But certain things, unfortunately, are going to be, like, moving on and off because they made these deals years before Disney Plus was an idea or even a concept. But yeah, it sucks. Like, Disney promised, like, their content would not leave. But at the same time, it's like they're contractually obligated to do this. So, like, what do you want them to do? Like, I mean, yes, Disney probably has the money to break their contracts and pay it, like, thousandfold. But, like, honestly, like, would you rather they just fulfilled it and then, like, they could use that money to create something else? Like, The Mandalorian Season 3.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm on both sides because the way that Disney launched this thing was that it was going to be the ultimate like Disney app, like no matter what, right? This is what you're going to get. But when they do shit like this, it's like, so I just fucking lied in.
Yeah, it's like, so you lied to us. Well,
but it's like, I didn't lie. We didn't specify every movie.
We told you there wouldn't be a vault anymore, which there isn't. Everything that would be in a vault is out, which it is.
I get it. It does feel like you did get bamboozled.
Yeah.
Because you're right. Like, the way they said it and reframed it was like, well, here's why we don't have The Last Jedi on there yet.
Yeah.
But we're going to have everything. Look, we have a whole Star Wars section.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that. Mm-hmm. Oh, I know some of your favorites aren't on here yet. Just don't worry about that.
Eventually, everything's going to come back, right? It's all going to come in and out. I think that's their way around, like, the vault, is that it's like, wow. But if we just give it all to them, they're not going to pay. They're not all going to pay for it. How do we make them all pay for it? Oh, we give it to them all right now. And then we take some of it away, right? They'll be a little bit mad, but then you promise them that you'll bring it back, and then you take something else away. You promise that's going to come back. You give that back to them, and then you take something else away. It's like, money.
What, Disney likes money? Yeah, but, I mean, like, for me, it's fine because it's Home Alone. It's like, fucking cares. People watch
if it was
all the
something...
time.
I don't even know what it would have to take for me to be like...
If it was like Brink, I'd fucking break this computer. I'd be like, you fucking took Brink from me?
That's true. Brink is a deal breaker.
No, but I mean, I get it. Like I said, I do get it. But at the same point, it does make sense. But if it is like, hey, so Lion King is going to go off for blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but that is a Disney.
Yeah.
Like
that when it's like a Disney animated film or whatever.
Like a Disney classic.
Yeah.
It's like, it feels like Sword of Stone. I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But if it's something like The Little Mermaid, it's like, you can't just, what?
Well, that's
you can't
something
just
that,
take it off.
Yeah, because that's something you promote. Like, we have The Little Mermaid.
I would just hope that this only has to do with like certain movies and stuff. Like, yeah, if it's something where you can't watch like Beauty and the Beast 6 months out of the year because, well, there's a contract. It's like, no, you fucking take care of that because that is your classic. That's the reason why people get Disney Plus.
Now, if you had on there like Tarzan once out of the year, like for a month, I'd be like, yeah, I'm fine with that.
It's like, oh yeah, Tarzan.
Who the hell watches Tarzan?
But then again, it's like, I do hope that this is just finishing out contracts.
Yeah, me too.
Because at one point they want to become the Netflix of streaming, where you have to go to Disney to watch it.
It really sounds like that's all it is that they have to finish out their contracts. Disney doesn't want to waste money and breaking these contracts. I don't know. I kind of don't like it, but I kind of like. I understand it. It's the same thing I feel about Disney. I don't like it, but they keep reeling me back in with everything that they do.
Yeah, like I said, as long as it's not a continuous thing where they're constantly remaking new contracts, I'm fine. I don't know. It is dumb, but I do understand the cries of the many.
I just want to talk. And I want honest answers. Do you have any idea what's going on out there? I'm going to try and help you and your family.
I want to thank you again for letting us stay here.
Just gonna run through a few things. When we go out during the day, we like to stick to groups just for safety. The red door, it's the only way in and out of the house. It stays closed and locked all the time. I have the keys. It's the only set. Most important thing.
What's he see?
It's okay. Just go inside.
We never go out at night.
The door was already open when you got there.
Yeah.
Then who opened it?
I think they're sick.
Put your mask on. Nobody's sick here.
Can't trust anyone but family. You don't get it.
How old are you, Travis?
If they're sick, then I am too.
If you're lying to me, I will kill you.
It Comes at Night is a 2017 American horror film written and directed by Trey Edward Schultz. A highly contagious outbreak ravages the planet. Paul, his wife Sarah, and their teenage son Travis are secluded in their home deep in the woods in an undisclosed location. After Sarah's father, Bud, contracts the disease, they kill him and burn his body in a shallow grave. The next night, they capture an intruder breaking into the house. Paul ties him to a tree and places a bag over his head overnight to confirm he is not suffering from the disease. The stranger, Will, explains he did not know the house was occupied and was searching for fresh water for his wife and his young son. Will offers to trade some of their food for water. Sarah suggests bringing the strangers to their home, reasoning the more people, the easier it would be to defend themselves. Paul reluctantly agrees and drives Will to collect his family. Along the way, they are ambushed by 2 men. Paul kills them while accusing Will of setting him up. Will explains he fought them and assuages Paul's mistrust. Paul returns with Will, his wife Kim, and son Andrew. After establishing the rules Paul and Sarah use to stay safe, including A, keeping the only entrance locked with the key Paul or Sarah wear around their neck, and B, keeping nighttime excursions to a minimum, the 2 families establish a sense of normality and grow closer. One day, Travis's dog Stanley is barking aggressively and chases an unseen presence in the woods. Travis follows the dog into the woods before Stanley's barking suddenly ceases. Travis insists to Paul and Will he heard something in the woods. They return home after Paul assures Travis Stanley knows the woods and will find his way home. That night, Will seemingly contradicts the story he told Paul earlier about his and Kim's activities prior to finding the abandoned house. Paul's response suggests an increasing distrust of Will. That evening, Travis discovers Andrew sleeping on the floor of Bud's old room. Travis leads him back to his parents' room before hearing a sound from downstairs. Travis finds the front door of the house is slightly open and he hears noises. He wakes Paul and Will. They investigate, finding a bleeding and gravely sick Stanley on the floor. They kill and burn the dog. After Travis reveals the door was open before he came downstairs, Sarah suggests sleepwalking Andrew open the door. Kim argues the possibility as tensions rise. Paul suspects Andrew is infected and decides they should quarantine in their separate rooms for a couple days so they can calm down and ensure no one is sick. The next morning, Travis overhears Andrew coughing constantly. A distraught Kim tells Will they need to leave. Travis informs his parents Andrew might be infected, and as such, he too may be infected. Paul and Sarah don protective masks and gloves and take weapons to confront Kim and Will. After Paul asks to be let in to see if Andrew is sick, Will draws a gun and takes Paul captive. Will insists his family is healthy, repeatedly tells Andrew to keep his eyes shut, and orders Paul to remove the mask. Will demands Paul give him a fair share of food and water so they can leave. Paul and Sarah overwhelm Will and force him and his family outside. Will attacks Paul and tries to beat him to death as Sarah shoots Will in the back. Kim flees into the woods with Andrew. Paul fires at them, killing Andrew. Kim hysterically begs Paul to shoot her to end her misery, and he does. Later, Travis awakens in bed, visibly sick. His mother comforts him as he dies. Paul and Sarah, clearly infected, sit at the dinner table in silence as the film cuts to black.
It Comes at Night.
Yes.
A movie that we talked about so much that I thought we reviewed it already.
I think that was one we were going to remember when we were first starting out, like trying to record. I think we were going to, or we
because we definitely watched it in the way that we knew we were going to review it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember why we didn't, or
I think we moved on and then we started doing more different things.
Yeah, I think it was like, we'll do that.
We'll do it eventually, but then eventually became
102.
Yeah, eventually became we already did it, right?
So since we have reviewed it many times before without reviewing it, tell me what you thought about it.
Let me start off by anyone who hasn't seen this film but goes and watches the trailer for it, I will warn you right now, because honestly the trailer does it no justice. It makes you think there's something there when there isn't. Because what you end up finding out that the It Comes at Night doesn't refer to anything. It does, but I'll get into that later. But honestly, this movie, when I first saw it, I was blown away because I thought it was well made. Like, it's a well-made film. It's amazing because it's like a very simplistic story when you get down to it, but it's done so well. And there's movies I could I could give out to be like, if you wanted a movie that showed you like this is what acting is about, this is a movie what cinematography is about, this is a movie what like if you just want to have entertainment or you want an art, this is a movie that really is about atmosphere. And I think that's what helps it so much, is because they shot it in a way where the dream sequences are anamorphic lenses that they used, and it creates this sense of like dread every time that you're in a dream, or like at the last like few minutes of the film where it's shot all anamorphic like it's supposed to be a dream, but it's not. You're in the real world, and you just have the sense of like the whole time like what's out there. As soon as it starts, you get the sense of like, oh, there's this sickness, but like as soon as they burn the body and they leave it, they're like, let's get back inside. So you know there's this idea that there's something out there, right? But the idea is that it's not like a monster, it's just other people. And I'll get into it like after you talk, but is there a monster? Is there not a monster?
So when we watched this film, we already knew that it had a pretty bad reception.
Yeah, from audiences.
And this was a movie that we wanted to see originally. We remember the trailer. It was that door, that shot of them going to the red door
And the
with the
dog.
talking, and everything. And I remember the trailer, but I don't remember why we never got to watch it. I think it was just one of those things that just didn't get around to it. But we watch it, of course. And I remember specifically after watching it, I was thinking, why did everyone hate it? Like, it wasn't bad. It was different in the sense that it wasn't what the trailer brought. Because the way the trailer made it seem like was almost like a Hereditary in a way.
Yeah.
Like it was strangely cut. Like the way that it pasted in the trailer made it seem like there was going to be a bunch of crazy shit. But the story we got, I think, played out better than what the trailer would have gave us. Mm-hmm. When it comes down to it, it's a story about family.
Yes.
In the beginning, they literally have to say goodbye to a part of their family. Mm-hmm. And we don't know why. We know that there's a reason, like I said, the sickness, but we don't know what it is. And the whole movie, you're waiting on, well, what is it?
That's why I think like people, reacted to this movie wrong, is because they were expecting jump scare and ooh, what's that monster thing in the woods? But instead you got like this actual like chilling like portrayal of a Sophie's Choice kind of thing, where it's like what would you do in this situation? Would you let them like look at your kid just to force you guys out? Like, because what are they going to do when they see like the kids that actually infected? They're going to want to kill them. And then it's like, but then in that point, it's like, would they have let them kill, Travis, if they found out he was sick? It's like that horrible conundrum of like, well, do we have sympathy or empathy for our fellow humans and allow them in just to die? Or do we shut them out and let them be on their own to survive? And I think that's where Schultz is great when he wrote this, because it's like from It Comes at Night is, as he says, it's fear. It's the unknown. His whole thing is that it's what's behind the red door, right? It's that idea that as soon as they come in for the night and they shut that door, there's anything that's out there. It could be anything, right? And that's what comes at night, is that fear of the unknown, and that fear that we let in something and now it's going to cause our whole, like, we're basically going to die now because we're letting it in. And that's kind of what they did. And then there's the whole idea of like, who let the dog in, right? Too. Because it's like, did the little kid do it and that's how he got infected? Or I was watching, like a YouTuber, and he was like maybe Travis actually went and got him, not knowing, like maybe he was like sleepwalking or so, or he didn't know what he was doing. Like it was like thinking of it as a dream.
Yeah, because like the way that they make his dream seem, like they're very vivid.
Yeah, and very realistic. Like he went and got the dog, brought it back, and just forgot. and like he thought it was a dream. And like then he got infected, but then Andrew got infected because he brought the dog in, and he went to the door and saw the dog, and then went and wandered back to the room.
That's another thing that this does really well, is that it plays on this idea of anything could kind of be the sickness or plague or whatever, because we don't know anything about it. For all we know, aliens came down and infected this whole whatever, or World War III started, and
It was like chemical warfare or something.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It kind of paints this picture of, well, we don't really know what's going on, and that both adds to it, but at the same point, it's not that important. It's one of those things where we talk about where we don't have to have someone sit down and be like, oh, remember the days before the sickness? Remember waking up and everyone, everything on the news. Like, we don't need that.
We don't need any of that. Yeah. Like Trey Edward Schultz, he said that he already knew what happened before, and he knew what happened after. He wanted to show like a particular part of what was going on in the story. And that's something that we've brought up before too, where it's like, yeah, sometimes what makes a good story is just seeing a snippet of like this bigger story, and you're not really told everything, but it's just what happens in there that is like what makes the story. And I think that's what people like got upset with, was because they wanted, it's the same thing we said before. It's like they wanted an explanation for things, but as soon as you get an explanation, then they get upset because they're like, well, that's not what I thought it was. And it's like, but then he's not going to give you an explanation, and you're going to, well, then why?
So the dog just ran away by itself, crying and stuff?
Yeah, dogs do that.
Yeah.
Have you never had a dog before?
And I give credit to the movie for doing that, because it kind of ties in this idea that maybe there is something out there.
Yeah.
But whatever it is isn't as scary as what's happening in the house.
Yeah.
It isn't as scary as you trying to live like you did prior to whatever this is, but always having to step on eggshells because you don't know if those people are still trustworthy. They have a kid, but bad people can have kids.
Exactly.
How is he supposed to know that this guy's trustworthy, or that his girl is insane or sane? Or that their kid isn't some crazy psycho.
Well, a different YouTuber I was watching, he brought up the fact that maybe Will was lying the whole time, and he didn't. This actually wasn't his wife and kids. That he met them, and then like they were hooking up or whatever, and then like that's why he was like lying about like the brother and like all that, and like well no, like this and that. Like he had to come up with a story just to get them like away from where they were, and maybe those guys were involved. Like see, like the movie makes you think.
Yeah, you could kind of tie in a lot of different theories.
But then at the same time, like none of those theories could be correct. But see, like I think for us, we like that idea of like, well, we could sit here and theorize all day, but at the end of the day, we're not going to know. But that also helps to make it like a great like movie,
because there's a lot that in the story you can say, well, maybe that's why he acted this way. Or maybe he thought, whatever. The dog running away could be another animal.
Yeah.
It could be like some wolf or something that's out there, or a wild turkey or something.
I mean, he's like I don't know what kind of dog he is, but he looks like he's more of like a husky-ish, like I don't know. He's some kind of dog that looks like he'd hunt, right? Where it's like, yeah, if it hears like anything moving, it's probably going to go after it.
And maybe that's what it was. Maybe that's all it was. Maybe it was someone else trying to come.
Or maybe it was someone else that like, maybe it was part of like their plan. Like, see, like you could make any theory. Maybe like Will was like they're sent in to like see if they could overtake him, and like the whole idea was to get the dog away from the house. And like draw the dog away right before it can make any sounds when they come at night, right? See, it comes at night. But there's any number of theories that you could put to it, right?
Even with all that doesn't matter because the story still takes place.
Yeah. Because that's outside of the story.
Yeah. And that's the one thing that I think we really like about these stories when they do this stuff, because it gives you so much to think about, but you still get the story as is, and it's still intriguing. It still gets you emotional when you're like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Wait, who did open the door? Why aren't they that like, why is he playing it off so like normal? Like, that's a big deal. Cause the crazy thing about that, is like, he couldn't open the door. He's too small. And it's like, he's kind of right. I mean, he could have easily got something and jumped and turned it up and all this stuff and whatever, but why would he do that?
Yeah.
But what we got, what I thought was really great.
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfect story that shows you don't have to always have a beginning. You don't always have to have an end. You could just have this story being told, and it's still captivating and it's still entertaining to watch. And that's what it does really well. So obviously this movie's 2 thumbs up.
Yes.
Definitely go watch it. It's, like I said, the trailer paints this different picture.
I would say don't even watch the trailer.
Like we said, it's not the horror film that you think it is, but it's still so good.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm just going to get straight to the point this time. Box office numbers. Do we really need to like gauge anything by them? Like, realistically, because I feel like that's just something that businesses do, that I feel like a lot of like critics like to do. They like to use it, and then they also like to use it against things, because they'll be like, look at the box office numbers for this. Oh, it was abysmal. But honestly, like, it's because it was such a terrible film. Or they'll use it where it's like, I can't believe the box office numbers were so bad. It's such a great film. Look at the other critics. They praise it just like I do. And then like what people still say year after year, they're like, the box office has been terrible each year since, I think, like 2010 or something. They've been like, each year it steadily gets worse and worse. And you know what? They're right. Last year, it only did 11.4 billion as opposed to 2018, which did 11.9 billion. But they'll do that a lot with movies, where they'll be like, Rise of Skywalker's box office for this week fell 70%. It's like, yeah, but it's still the number 1 movie at the box office. It's just not as many people are seeing it as were before, but they're still seeing it. Like, they try and manipulate with this thing, and like, as we've seen before, like, box office doesn't equate anything, because Fast and the Furious still like shatters like the box office all the time. And things that we like we say all the time, like, oh, like, people should see this more, constantly go under the radar, because the studios see it more as for themselves to gauge, like, oh, like, will this movie be profitable? But like, I feel like the average person puts too much stock in it. You know what I mean? I just think that like people need to stop worrying about it. Like this article was saying how that despite the strong 2019 offerings, the year was plagued by too many flops, like Charlie's Angel and Dark Phoenix. They bring up things like Doctor Sleep, and it's like, yeah, but like Doctor Sleep and Charlie's Angels were good movies. It's just people are dumb and they just didn't go see it. But you're using that as a way to be like, see, we know what we're talking about. Like, that movie was terrible because no one went to go see it.
If it was a huge thing, the decline in the last 5 to 7 years should be like 60%.
Yeah, and then I think they'll point to they try and point to it like, oh, Lion King was a terrible movie. It's like, yeah, but it smashed the box office. For all that people criticized it for, like, everyone went to go see it. And it's like, see, you honestly cannot trust the box office at all. Like, and I think people, they try and do that same thing too with like the people going to the theaters. They try and make a correlation of like, oh, it's because of streaming stuff that people don't go to the movies anymore. It's like, it's only down by 0.5% of billions of dollars. Like, I could understand if it was like $11 billion, right? And then this year it was $6 billion. Then it's like, oh shit, like something happened that people are not going to the movies anymore. But it's not enough to even like knock it down from 11 to anything else.
We talked about this, I think maybe our last episode. The times are changing, so of course box offices aren't going to be the same as they were in 1985 or something, right? I mean, that just fucking makes sense because things are just different now. It's just how it is.
Which is funny too, because if you look back to any news from then, they're all talking about how, you know what's going to kill the box office? Video cassettes. This is going to kill, no one's going to want to go to the movies anymore. And we're how many years removed from that?
Yeah, because streaming, we thought we had it right with VHS, but it was actually streaming. That was it. We just didn't know it at the time. No, but I mean, yeah, we've talked about this a bunch of times, and it's not the fact that people just don't want to go. It's the fact that people have a lot of different opportunities now.
And you know, like there are movies where the bombing is for a reason, right? Like Ready Player One.
No, like Mortal Engines.
Like Mortal Engines.
A movie that they built up from the get-go that, oh, it's going to cost all this money. It's going to be huge. Oh, it's this new epic. Oh, this is going to be amazing. And then it came out and it's like, oh, yeah, we need to pull it like the third week because we're going to lose money.
Yeah, because it bombed that hard.
Yeah. People just weren't interested in it.
Yeah. But then there's things where like people are like, they automatically pan it already. Like Bumblebee, right? But like, it's Transformers. Of course it was going to blow the box office, right? That's what a Transformers movie does. Because although what critics will say, it's like, people go and see these movies. And we brought it up before. Sometimes people don't have the luxury like we do, where we don't have to pay as much for like movie tickets. But people will wait till like, oh wait, Transformers is coming out. I could either see that or The Lighthouse. Like
there were honestly times, it seems like it's not that long ago, where it would be like, I could see this movie here, but I have to pay $17.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to pay that when I could sleep in, wake up at 2:00 in the morning, hit the AMC, a little bit after, and watch a whole movie for $4.99.
Exactly.
And yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just you don't want to pay for that ticket. But then again, there are those times where it's like, hey, we can go to the movies tonight. It's only like $5. Oh, okay, yeah. But that's not everywhere. And sometimes we forget that people don't have the luxury we have where we can decide, like, I don't really want to go to Roadhouse. I think Harkin's going to be too packed. Like, let's see if there's anything at Cinemark.
You want to hear something ridiculous? Is that they said that Dark Phoenix was ripped as one of the worst X-Men movies ever released, according to multiple outlets. And his box office receipts was a drag on Disney's bottom line. And I was like, this in the same year that Endgame came out. Like people, I think they have a disconnection from things.
And I think that's the separation people have in their mind, that this movie is so bad and it's so horrible. Oh my God, it's ruining Disney. I mean, yeah, Endgame came out, but we're not going to talk about Endgame. It's like you have to talk about Endgame.
Oh wait, this was the worst year. 2018 was terrible, but this was worse. We're down by a percentage point. Can you believe that? It's like, come talk to me when we're like in the millions, because then I'd be like, okay, something's wrong.
And we don't know what's going to go on in the future. We don't know if there really is a huge decline happening, or if there's going to be an upswing. We don't know. Like where we are in our region is so different than other places.
Yeah.
Even like a California. You think of California is so big and everyone's there and all this. I went to California once and we had to drive like 20 minutes to go to a movie theater. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But where we are is so different from everywhere else.
Yeah.
So we can't fully see that because when they say this shit, it's like, oh, movies are in decline, people aren't going, and then it's like, oh, but they built that new Harkins there.
Oh yeah, and then see.
Oh, and then they built up this Roadhouse here.
And then the good thing about like we have here like certain Harkins or AMC's will play movies that are more limited released. And I get like places like even in Flagstaff, like the 2 Harkins they have like are far away from each other, and one will show. I think only has like 5 theaters or something.
It's honestly it's a bigger conversation that we can have, but the conversation isn't look how sad the decline it is. It's more of like how like movies are distributed.
Yeah.
But I mean, the short answer is no, there isn't some crazy decline happening. In fact, with the Godfather's film itself, Disney, they're trying to do every single movie as it was a $1 billion movie.
Yeah.
That's what they shoot for right now.
Mm-hmm.
They know that if they release 4 to 7 movies, that there's a good chance that a couple of them, if not, all of them, could hit $1 billion.
And what's funny too is that they try, and what they're trying to pin it on is streaming, but it's like it's funny because it's like Disney Plus didn't come out till November, so we've had the same streaming that we had before. We only had 2 months of Disney Plus. I honestly don't think that's big enough to affect what they think.
It did, Dom, because why did Cats do so bad?
I'm sorry. I forgot you love Cats.
But with that, guys, we'll just say thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you.
If you want to support us, please follow us on any of your streaming services, Apple, Stitcher, Google. We are on Spotify, so check us out on that.
Oh, the big
We also release our stuff through YouTube. So if you haven't followed our YouTube, we do have a link in every single episode that takes you to our YouTube page.
Yes.
Or you can follow our social media accounts. That's Twitter, Instagram, INTB_podcast. Or you can email us directly at intbpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Let us know, do you honestly feel that there is a decline with how much people go to the movies? Or is that just made up shit so people can write stories and get paid?
Yeah, and let us know, like, did you like It Comes at Night? Like, did you not like it? Like, what are your theories? Let us know, like, because I really want to know.
Yeah, or just message us and tell us how your holiday went.
Yeah.
Was it fun?
Or
was it exciting?
Do you have any, what are they called? New Year's resolutions?
Maybe your resolution is to listen to more INTB podcasts.
Yeah, maybe.
Which you can do. Our resolution is to try to put more content out for you guys. So hopefully sometime this year we can try and experiment with other cool things. Or maybe just like everyone else's New Year's resolution, we'll give it up after a couple weeks.
Probably.
But until then, guys, as always, remember.
It's not that bad.
It's not that